Hey YouTube, it's Eric. This is gonna be a pretty quick video. I just got back from work not too long ago, but this is just more proof about how right we are that the Whore of Babylon, or the Roman Catholic Church, it truly is controlling the world and is behind uh, all the Earth's problems and geopolitical machinations. And this is Dr. Kerry Chant. I'm sure you've seen it, and I thought this was pretty amusing because the mainstream media now is in full damage control. I'll just show you a little excerpt of this. There's numerous articles now, quote, that are designed to mock conspiracy theories. You look at this here: Australian health chief stirs up conspiracy theorists by calling COVID-19 restrictions a new world order. And the geniuses over at the National Post didn't even get the puppet doctor's name right. They call her Dr. Kerry Grant throughout the article, not Dr. Kerry Chant. But this Dr. Kerry Chant, she's on paper an Anglican. I'll just show you her official wiki page there. Here's another article mocking quote unquote conspiracy theorists here from the Independent.
We're calling all.
Titled New World Order Conspiracy Theorists Unite as Australian Health Chief Uses Term at Press Conference. And look what they say here. Dr. Kerry Chant appeared to use the phrase innocently, referring to the post-COVID world we live in. Wow, pathetic. But I'll show you here more definitive proof that we're absolutely spot on. All of these top officials they're all Vatican puppets, every single one of them. No exceptions. We see here Dr. Kerry Chant. She's officially Anglican. She was educated at the Danebank Anglican School for Girls, graduating in 1980. And she went to the University of South Wales, which is quote unquote secular, where she graduated in 1987. And she also got a master in health administration and master in public health there as well. So on paper, there's no immediate ties to the Jesuits or the Vatican on paper. Which is what apologists for the Catholic Church and propagandists for the Catholic Church will parrot on YouTube. Oh, this is a Protestant plot. There's nothing. There's no limits to how far they'll twist and subvert the truth. But if you look at here, so she made these comments yesterday, September 9th, 2021, and I have them on my YouTube channel. I'll just play them here for you.
Will exposure sites be put back in place, especially with reopening and people going back to pubs and stuff? Because our exposure sites still, will they be put back in place to be listed once we are reopening? Because they're not at the moment.
We will be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the New World Order.
We will be looking. Who's we? The Jesuits, the resident Jesuits in Sydney? Who's we? Jesuits have a huge presence in Australia. All you got to do here is read the article that I have up on my website, Jesuit World Order, from the Sydney Morning Herald. In Canberra, as it is in Rome, here come the Jesuits. The majority of all the premiers in Australia are all Roman Catholics. Dan Andrews, Anastasia Palaszczuk, full-on COVID tyranny. There is no distinction really between Jesuit Communist China and Australia now. It's essentially the same. It's out of the top tier, over the top tyranny. Locking down the whole country over one case. The whole wow. But you see right there, so this is the contact tracing in the New World Order. I'm just going to play that again. Right there. And of course, Pope Francis has been calling for a new world order ever since COVID-19 started. His encyclicals Laudato Si. His encyclicals go back to 2013. Pope Francis has been calling for a new world order for quite some time. In relation to COVID specifically, though, Pope Francis has been especially vocal about the need for global governance, or a new world order. I'm just going to play this again.
Will they be put back in place to be listed once we are reopening? Because they're not at the moment.
We will be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the New World Order. And yes, it will be part of.
So there you go. So this Anglican quote unquote doctor said this. But if you go here, I found this link. And again, this just shows how much of frauds quote unquote journalists are. This took me literally 5 minutes to find. I was typing in Dr. Kerry Grant in Catholic Church. It took me 5 minutes to discover how much of a fraud she is. But this was 2 months ago, on Thursday, July 1st, 2021. There was an event called Catholic School Governance for the Common Good, put on by the Catholic Schools of New South Wales. Yeah, for the common good. Let's bring the Inquisition back for the common good. Let's just murder all heretics. No trials. Suspend habeas corpus. Bring back the Inquisition. Bring like the good old days. You better believe in the new world order. The contact tracing. You're going to be tracked and traced everywhere you go. They're going to bring in, the digital currency. Pope Francis has already talked about the need for a universal basic income, which they're going to tie into the vaccine. So after they're done destroying the world economy and crushing hundreds of thousands, millions of jobs, you're going to get people dependent on a universal basic income. And if you don't take the Pope's VAXX, you're not getting the money from the universal basic income program. Or they'll turn off your chip. If Jesuit Klaus Schwab has his way, we'll all be microchipped by 2026. You see here, this conference was called Catholic School Governance for the Common Good. This is 2 months ago, Thursday, 1st, July 21. And look who the keynote speaker was. Dr. Kerry Chant. This took me fucking 5 minutes to find. Shows you how much frauds are the mainstream media and quote unquote journalists today. Totally captured by Rome. Look at this. But again, this is a quote unquote Anglican doctor officially, and she's the keynote speaker at an event titled Catholic School Governance for the Common Good. You don't have any rights. It's for the common good. I have the video on my channel. Jesuit puppet U.S. President Joe Biden, the same day that Dr. Kerry Chant made these comments yesterday, September 9th, Joe Biden in his press conference said, "This isn't about freedom or personal choice," when mandating Pope Francis's vaccine on 80 million Americans. I recommend you check out that video. He's mandated that all employers that employ over 100 employees must, or the employees in those businesses with 100 or more employees must take the vaccine. Their employers must force them to do it or fire them. Or there's a subject that Joe Biden's going to fine the businesses $14,000 for each violation. Look at it. So this Q&A was facilitated by Elizabeth O'Carrigan, the director of the schools of the Diocese of Wagga Wagga. There you go. Right there. The Jesuits are very prominent in Sydney. All you got to do is type in Jesuit schools, Sydney. You got like 4 or 5 schools right there. You got St. Aloysius College, St. Ignatius College, Redfern Jadram College. This is interesting because this is a Jesuit school specifically related to the indigenous. So still after 450 years of systemic genocide and abuse of the indigenous, the Jesuits are still educating them and indoctrinating them and destroying their culture. Amazing. And there's a Jesuit mission office there in North Sydney, New South Wales. There's also another St. Ignatius College, Riverview. There's Canisius College, Jesuit Refugee Service, Australia. Another Jesuit refugee service there in Parramatta, New South Wales. That's just in the suburbs. So 2 Jesuit refugee services right there. You go to the Jesuit parish, the parish of Our Lady of the Way, North Sydney, New South Wales. So clearly the Jesuits are pretty entrenched in the region. Look at all. Just look at the map. But I just want to show that, clear proof. And again, look at that, like the keynote speaker at an event titled the Catholic School Governance for the Common Good. Again, this was just 2 months ago before she made these comments again that I'll play here.
What contact tracing looks like in the New World Order. And yes, it will be
And she says we will be looking. Who's we?
We will be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the New World Order. And yes, it will be pubs and clubs and other things. If we
Total Vatican fraud. 2 months before this comment, she again, the keynote speaker at an event titled Catholic School Governance for the Common Good. We all have to become Roman Catholic. There is no salvation outside the church. As Pope Pius IX said in the Syllabus of Errors, the same in syllabus condemning the freedom of the press, freedom of thought, freedom of expression. He condemns progress eternally. The Pope does. He eternally condemns progress because the papacy wants to keep us in the Dark Ages. Jesuit puppet Joe Biden, quote unquote, approved the Pfizer vaccine, the Mary Poison vaccine, on August 23rd, an anniversary date of the St. Bartholomew Day massacre, where Roman Catholics massacred over 100,000 Protestants in France. It's right in plain sight. This is the Inquisition coming back. As I said, the COVID-19 vaccine is the new baptism. It will be tied into the new universal basic income financial system that's coming down the pipe that Jesuit Pope Francis is calling for. That's quote unquote contact tracing in the New World Order, as Dr. Kerry Chant just mentioned, is also referring to. You see your first COVID jab approval by the FDA on commemoration of the St. Bartholomew Day massacre. Isn't that nice? Here, this even from Vatipedia, the St. Bartholomew Day massacre in 1752 was a targeted group of assassinations and a wave of Catholic mob violence directed against the Huguenots, French Calvinist Protestants. The massacre began on the night of the 23rd and 24th of August, 1572. And on August 23rd, 2021 is when Jesuit puppet Roman Catholic U.S. President Joe Biden, quote unquote, approves the FDA, or gets the FDA to approve the first COVID vaccine to Pfizer to gain such approval. And now we're going to see the quote approval of Johnson and Johnson, Moderna, and the whole nine, the rest of them. Then, according to the Illustrated History of Nations, the death toll estimates from the St. Bartholomew Day massacre ran as high as 100,000 people. And that's quoted in Richard Roscoe Miller's great book, Slavery and Catholicism. It's right in plain sight. I just wanted to highlight that there, that this, because this video here of Dr. Kerry Chant is kind of making rounds around the internet. For right reasons. She's openly, saying that we're going to be living in a technocratic, totalitarian, fascist state.
Looking at
so rightfully, it's making rounds. But you see here, the mainstream media is kind of like doing all sorts of damage control, smearing, quote unquote, QAnon conspiracy theorists as. It's hilarious. So just like the first 5 articles I typed in when I typed in Cary Grant, New World Order comments were all articles of that nature. You say, "Oh, conspiracy theorists are going crazy over this. They're so stupid." She said it innocently. But I think that's all for this one, YouTube. Peace and love. Actually, I see. Speaking there of Connor, actually, I've been. Says, do you guys like gematria? I do think definitely. I think gematria is helpful in coming to the grasp on the big picture of Jesuit and Vatican control. And actually, I'm going to be I've been emailing back and forth with Zach Hubbard. I'm hoping to go on Truth Frequency Radio sometime soon again. So and if I have one of the first time I've been on TFR twice now. The first time I went on TFR, I have that 2-hour block on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to go back and watch that. But I think that's all for this one, YouTube. Peace and love, and I'll catch you on the next video. Actually, before I do go, there's something I wanted to read. Just because in terms of the FDA approving the Mary Poison Pfizer vaccine on the anniversary of the St. Bartholomew Day massacre. I have this great book here by Dr. Robert Wilner called The Cancer Solution. But you see here, it's the modern Inquisition. That's what we're living under. Jesuit medical inquisition. And I have the video on my channel, Dr. Robert Wilner. He totally exposed the HIV/AIDS hoax. He actually has, on my channel, he injects himself with HIV, and he proves that it doesn't cause AIDS. Robert, I also have his book, Deadly Deception, on my archive.org account, which you guys can now read. But Robert Wilner here. He says the Food and Drug Administration is continuously adding, eliminating, and he says this on page 6 of this book here, The Cancer Solution. He says, Dr. Robert Wilner says, the Food and Drug Administration is continuously adding, eliminating, or revising information on the use of medicines because of serious problems noted long after the FDA cleared them for safety and effectiveness. In spite of the fact that they were born of the, quote, double-blind birth process, these changes, interestingly enough, were discovered not by double-blind techniques, but by anecdotal evidence. The actual occurrence of the cover-up and masking of the failures in the, quote, infallibility Again, that comes from papal infallibility from the Vatican Conference of 1870, where the Pope was declared infallible, meaning that he cannot err. He's incapable of making errors. That's what being infallible means. The word of the Pope is divine law. This is the Unum Sanctum from 1302. Every human being must be subject of the Pope for salvation's sake. Because the Pope's infallible. His word is law. The Pope's words are the rays of the sun, which illuminate the nations of the earth. This is what the psychotic Jesuit maniacs believe in. We see here the actual occurrence of the cover-up and masking of the failures and the quote infallibility of the double-blind criteria of proof is much greater than admitted or known because of the limitations inherent in the allopathic philosophy and its intolerance to any other point of view. That's right. You have to take the Pope's COVID jab or else. It doesn't matter if you have natural immunity to COVID-19 when natural immunity gives you more protection than the vaccine. It doesn't matter. The Pope is infallible. He says you must take the vaccine, so it's law. You will be mandated to take it. That's how it works. You see here, as long as the dictatorship of allopathic medicine reigns, fostered by the powerful and politically influential pharmaceutical industry, the public will be denied the right of informed freedom of choice in health and disease care. Yeah, so that's what informed PhD Dr. Robert Wilner concluded there. But I think that's all for this one. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I just wanted to highlight that with Dr. Kerry Chant, being the keynote speaker at a prominent event for Catholic school education for the common good just 2 months before she made these comments about contact tracing in the New World Order. And again, she's officially a quote Anglican doctor. And actually, before I go, just in terms of show you how captured Anglicanism is by the Vatican, this is actually, I personally saw this when I was living in St. Catharines. There's an Anglican church that I actually saw this when I was biking to work one day. This is St. Barnabas Anglican Church on Queen Street in St. Catharines, Ontario. I literally had to do a double take. I ended up being late for work because I had to fucking bike back and see the logo of this Anglican church because I was shocked. But you'll see here, what's the logo of the Anglican church? It's a Jesuit IHS, as I will show you right here. Look at this, St. Barnabas Anglican Church. Look at that, everyone. So you're trying to tell me the Jesuits aren't controlling Protestantism today? Really? 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 Tony Palmer said the Reformation is over. Good friends with the Pope. Tony Palmer, of course, being one of the most prominent Protestants in America. But look at this, St. Barnabas Anglican's Church, St. Catharines. Look at this. Like, you can't make it up. And that's why when I was biking to work, like I see the logo on, like I see this church, and I did a double take. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, pardon my language. Like, I had to go back and look at the logo. Like, I had to go look at the sign in front of the church. I was just shocked that see, right in plain sight. That's the Jesuit IHS distinctively. And again, this is a Protestant church. And again, this is an Anglican church. And this was a, quote, Anglican doctor here that made these comments about COVID-19, contact tracing, and the New World Order. An Anglican doctor who speaks at Catholic events, who's the keynote speaker, nonetheless. Yeah, I think that's all for this one, YouTube. Peace and love, and I'll catch you on the next one.